China is threatening countries for siding with the US, gold is exploding, the dollar's collapsing, and inflation panic is rising. Airbnb finally stopped lying about prices, stocks are climbing while the economy wheezes, and almost half of home sellers giving away cash to get deals done. What's up? Matt here. If it affects your money, your freedom, or your shot at building real wealth, we cover it here without the fluff. Let's break down what's really happening and how to play offense while everyone else is still watching cable news. China's making threats, not just to the US, but to anyone who dares to side with us in this trade war. Their message: if you support America, we're coming for you too. And they're not bluffing. More than 50 countries are already talking trade with the US. China's trying to intimidate them into silence. And here's what that means for us: higher prices, more uncertainty, and less control over the things that we rely on every day. When pressure like that builds, investors move to safety. And right now, that means gold. Gold just hit $3,400 an ounce. That's nearly double what it was just 2 years ago. At the same time, the dollar has hit a 3-year low. And Steve Forbes is saying that this feels like the 1970s all over again, which is not a good thing. Because back then, we had sky-high inflation, stagnant growth, and money that lost value by the minute. And the more people fear that kind of scenario, the more they ditch dollars and load up on hard assets. Now, personally, I don't own any gold, but I kind of feel like I should. I've got some real estate, and historically, during inflationary times, gold and real estate move together. They're both wealth preservation assets. You need some. They protect your purchasing power while everything else burns. And speaking of burning, Airbnb finally stopped hiding the real cost of their listings. They now show total prices up front, cleaning fees included, by default. This change comes right before the FTC's new rule goes into effect that cracks down on junk fees across the board. Truth is, Airbnb didn't suddenly grow a conscience. They saw what was coming and decided to get ahead of it. Now, full disclosure, I just sold my last Airbnb. It was fine, not a horror story, but trying to manage it from across the country without a local manager, pretty tough to keep that running smooth. So if you're looking at short-term rentals, keep that in mind. Meanwhile, Wall Street seems to think everything's just fine. I mean, stocks are up, but consumer confidence way down, and inflation still here. The Fed's stuck in the middle, trying not to crash the plane. And yet, investors are betting big on the idea that rate cuts are coming soon. Here's the problem. Sometimes the market's optimism turns into denial. And right now, it feels weird. And I'll be honest, it's hard to cut through the media noise, especially with the way they jump on every Trump misstep like it's a national emergency. But then you look at Trump's confidence and you gotta wonder, where does this guy, what does he know that we don't? That's what keeps me watching. Now let's talk some real estate, because there's a stat that just dropped and it should have buyers pumped. 44.4% of sellers offered concessions in the first quarter. That's just shy of the highest level ever recorded. And that means nearly half of sellers are throwing in extras to close the deal. We're talking closing costs, mortgage buydowns, repair credits. Some are even covering HOA dues. Now when I see that, I see a green light. This is the time to go shopping and forget the interest rate drama. Use it instead. Tell the seller, it's not me, it's the market. That's leverage that they can't argue with. And here's a move I like. Pick out 3 to 5 properties that fit your criteria and submit offers on all of them at the same time and see who bites. Let them compete for your business. You might be surprised how much flexibility shows up when you have options. And before we wrap, if you're looking for some cheap money to throw at some assets, some skill training, or business efficiencies, check out loopholelending.com. It's how some of our viewers are getting up to $150,000 at 0% interest using a legit but rarely talked about banking strategy. No pitch, just check it out if you're curious, loopholelending.com. So countries are clashing, the dollar is sliding, home sellers are sweating, and Wall Street's whistling past the graveyard. But here's the truth. Weird times create wild opportunities. And if inflation does come roaring back like the 70s, here's my plan. Own assets, own real estate, own commodities, and maybe even a little crypto. Because if the money keeps losing value, the people holding the real things will win. So stay curious, stay sharp, and stay free. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.